Hiya, as you know, I'm Bianca, and I really wanted to share my story of transformation with you because I think it's really important for you to know where I've come from and my journey. Now, I'm proud to say that success is really important to me, and I've worked with hundreds of women who have high-powered, well-paid, successful jobs, but are struggling to feel successful, and I relate to that feeling. Do you? No matter how much you do, it just never seems to be enough. And there's always so much more to do, an endless list of jobs. Now, I haven't always been a coach. I've worked in high-level sort of positions as an operations manager in a FTSE 100 company, as well as a senior manager in the public sector. Now, my rock bottom was about 10 years ago. I had worked for a number of years in stressful situations and stressful jobs, went through work restructuring, and I had a number of miscarriages, and I became physically and emotionally really unwell. I weighed about 20 stone, I was exhausted, I was always tired, and I really kind of felt broken. I really wanted to further my career, but with a young child, I felt really kind of stuck. I couldn't put in the hours that I used to, and actually I kind of really didn't want to. I felt really kind of frustrated that my success was based on the number of hours I could put into the job and not the expertise and skills I had developed. Well, that's how I used to feel, and that really affected my confidence, and I kind of gave up. One morning I woke up deciding there really wasn't much point carrying on. Nothing was going to work. What was the point? I'd been in bed with chronic fatigue syndrome for a couple of weeks. I had ME following glandular fever. I had really low immunity. And if there was a cold or an infection or a virus going around, I would catch it. I also caught an infection after a miscarriage and then struggled with cervical infection, which left me ultimately infertile. And I'd had enough. So I decided to do something about it. I got a personal trainer and I started using podcasts and videos to coach myself because I figured I can do it all on my own. Do you know that feeling? And I noticed there are thousands of coaches and influencers saying, fight harder, be stronger, get tougher, develop that thick skin, fight through the pain. But I was tired, and no matter how much I tried to feel strong, I just didn't feel it. I had enough of fighting. I felt like I'd fought a lot. Now, I kind of also felt that American coaches didn't really get me. They didn't understand the nuances of British culture or British psychology. And I really wasn't into punching into the air and jazz hands and shouting about my success from the rooftop. And that's not how we do it here. That's what I said. The overwhelming message from other coaches was that in order to be successful, I need to be stronger and fight harder and I did what they were selling, and it did work for a really short time. But nothing they suggested or tools or strategies seemed to stick. And when they said, do what I do and you'll get the results, and I didn't get the results, I kind of felt like the horse analogy from the first video. I was hitting myself, whipping myself to go faster and harder, and I just wasn't getting there. And there's how long can you keep doing that until you get tired again? So it wasn't actually until I decided to invest in myself and I got a life coach that I saw a massive change in my self-belief and my success. Now, back then, I initially came to the conclusion that my problems were based on the toxic work environment I was in and the poor management I was working under. But over a period of time, I began to realise that that really wasn't the case at all. My lack of unconditional self-belief, my inability to speak to myself positively, and my mindset really were the issue. And what I realise now, that my success was driven by a desire to prove I was good enough, prove that I was better than other people's, better than I believed I was. Because I really didn't believe at a deep level that I was good enough. I just wanted to believe I was good enough just as I was. And my focus wasn't happiness, it was achievement. And if you had asked me if I was confident in myself, I kind of would have said yeah. I appeared confident and assertive, and I've always kind of been that way in my professional life. I'm a go-getter, I do what it takes, get the job done well. However, what was missing in my life was that level of personal success, that level of success where I knew I was doing a great job, where I was happy with what I was achieving and what I was producing and what I was giving out to the world. I was really actually giving myself a hard time. It wasn't that I was a failure. I had the nice house, I had the husband, the kids and a dog and the good job. But I had that underlying feeling that I had to do better. I had to be more. I had to do more. I had to achieve more. But what I really didn't realise was the very thing that was driving me, that had driven me previously, was actually now holding me back. It was holding me back from my success. I was always pushing for the next goal, the next promotion, the next project lead. But I actually rarely made myself visible or spoke up in meetings. I didn't celebrate my success or the work that I had done with people who would have noticed. And no one really knew how well I was doing, how much I was achieving in my work situation, or as a mum, as a wife. I didn't really believe I was doing good enough. I was also a people pleaser, but I wasn't pleasing anyone, and I certainly wasn't pleasing myself. And at home, I wanted to be the best mum, and I wanted to be a good partner, and I wanted to be a caring daughter. In fact, the thing that really was driving me was that sense of wanting to prove I was good enough, because I didn't really feel it. So, and what I call that now is the carrot or the stick. I was kind of pushing myself, whipping myself to do better, to work harder, or I was flapping, or like sort of worrying, questioning, self-doubt, telling myself, asking myself what I should be doing and what I needed to do to get where I wanted to be. Okay, it's also called overthinking. Not actually sort of working it through. Now, with a healthy diet, a number of years later, a healthy body and a healthy mind, I realised I wasn't really doing what I was put on this earth to do. I was already a coach in the workplace and I had a number of coaching qualifications and accreditations, but over the next 5 years, I retrained in psychology, in nutrition, in counselling, neuro-linguistic programming, coaching, to kind of get a real set of what it takes to help people get to where they want to be, starting with myself. I set up my coaching business in 2016, and I started working with professional, ambitious clients, but my focus then was a focus on well-being. Now, what I noticed, my clients had something in common. They were successful because they were driven. They were driven because they had to do better, and they rarely gave themselves that positive, unconditional self-regard. And this is the important bit. This really is. The problem is they only congratulated and rewarded themselves when they thought they had done well enough. Do you relate to that? But they always saw that they could do more, so they rarely rewarded themselves. And even if they secured new clients or new projects or positive feedback, they still didn't feel that lasting sense of achievement. And the more responsibility they took on and the higher they got on in their organisations, the more that they felt that they weren't hitting the mark, and that kind of imposter syndrome set in. And when working with the ambitious women that I worked with, and still do, it was almost as if they actually noticed and recognised their success and said they were proud of themselves, they were arrogant or big-headed, and that maybe their drive and ambition was based on telling themselves they weren't good enough, and that if I said that they were good enough, if they said to themselves they were good enough, they might not have that drive and ambition. So guess what? They kept on doing what they did that got them to where they were. And eventually, like me, they ended up with low self-confidence, low self-esteem. So I noticed after working with them for a really short while, just like me, that they gained their confidence. And as they gained more confidence, they became more assertive. And this is like the positive rolling effect you get with the program. They started believing in themselves and they started achieving more and becoming more visible in the company, promoting themselves and their success, and people started noticing them more. And they knew they could do it because they had that inner self-belief and they were driving themselves through that, not through a fear of not doing well enough. And they really did initially have fears. They're real, genuine fears that they weren't good as other people or as good as other people thought they were, you know? And it leaves me to the question, you know, how successful do you want to be? You know, do you want to be the best? Do you want to be average? Do you want to be okay? And how will you know when you've got there? What will it feel like? How will you notice it? And those are the questions that they had never been asked. They'd never taken time to ask themselves, what do they really want? And how does it look like? And how does it feel like? And they actually couldn't answer it. They spent their whole lives like I had, with their heads down, pushing forward, aiming to get somewhere, but they didn't know where that was. And, you know, they never had time to look up and see if they liked the direction they were going, so determined just to go forward. They didn't know if they wanted to get there. And the truth is, we're all kind of aiming for happiness and satisfaction and a sense of achievement. You know, that's why we're pushing ourselves. So that when we're old and crinkly, we can look back on our life and say, you know what, we did the best we could. You know, we did the best with what we had. No regrets. Life well lived. But rather than waiting till then, why don't we get it happening now? Let's start enjoying that journey right now, so that you can feel that happiness and satisfaction and achievement right now in your life today. Now, I've developed a unique coaching program. I developed it over a number of years, and it's called the Success Solution. It was developed from years of training and research and experience working with ambitious women, and it was based on four key areas. The first one is knowing who you are and your value so that we can create that plan, okay? Increasing your visibility and your confidence. Third one is improving your interpersonal skills so that you can be charismatic and confident in those social situations. And the fourth one is those lifestyle changes, you know, getting better sleep, diet, nutrition, energy, exercise. And that program I still use today is getting and has got amazing results that not only allow my clients to get promotions and start their own business or get new jobs and become more profitable than they ever dreamed possible, but they're also happier when they're doing it. They're creating a decent, good work-life balance where they're enjoying their time out of work. They're managing out-of-work responsibilities like family and friends and their health so much more easily. And by using a different energy to drive them, they're able to look up confident that they're traveling in the right direction. They're in the driving seat of their lives. Okay, and up until now, I have had a thriving business in the Southwest that's grown from the results that I've got. I very rarely advertise. Most of my clients have come through referrals because I want to help more women achieve success. But now I've helped so many women in the Southwest achieve that real success. I actually want to help more. I want to help more women just like you. And I know you want that for you too. And I don't want anyone getting to the place where I got to, you know, where I was broken physically and emotionally. I want to help you create your success solution right now, today, starting right here. I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.